Okay, today is February 29th, 2020, and we're here today with one of the founders of Northgate Gonzalez Supermarket, Don Miguel González. Good morning, Miguel.
Good morning, James.
First of all, tell me a little bit about where you were born.
I was born in a small town in Los Altos de Jalisco,
Uh-huh.
Jalos Totitlan, in 70 years ago, 1950.
1950. So tell me a little bit about the Gonzalez family. Tell me about your parents, who they were, and what they did.
Well, my dad got married in 1946, and then 2 years after, he started a small shoe store
Mm-hmm.
and factory. So anything that he will make in the factory was sold in the shoe store, some wholesale, some retail, and things were going really good for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
1965, that's when I started to learn that it was something going with the family economy, because I asked my dad for money to pay my tuition, and he said, I don't have it. So that's when I knew that we were in trouble.
Uh-huh.
So he tried to do different things, and the debt in our hometown started keep growing. So one day he decided with the two of the other brothers in '66 to come to the U.S. He worked almost a year and a half, and then he went back after paying all the debt. He went back to our hometown, Jalos,
Uh-huh.
and trying to start a business, not a business, find a job where we can all work and be reunited.
Uh-huh.
And somebody offered him a job in Mexico City.
Uh-huh.
So we all went, except the two older brothers, we all went into Mexico City. But that job promise keep getting longer and longer. And at the beginning of 1968, my dad told me, you know what, all the money reserves are gone, so we need to go. And so we came into the U.S. in 1968,
1968.
direct from Mexico City.
So tell me about the early years. How many brothers and sisters do you have? Tell me about the Gonzalez family.
We are a large family, 13 brothers and sisters, 8 brothers, 5 sisters. I'm the third of the family, and we've been working together for the last 40 years.
Now, having the family, your mom's name?
My mom's name was Teresa Reynoso.
Okay.
My dad's name, same as mine, Miguel González.
Uh-huh. How was it growing up in the Gonzalez household those early days in Jalos?
Oh, it was really good. I mean, the shoe store was producing enough profits so we can keep a good level of life. Not high level, but enough to live in there and pay for the rent, and like I said, not enough to waste money, because one time my older brother and I, we bought a young horse.
Uh-huh.
We put him in the house and gave him a bed, and we were so proud of it. And my dad came for lunch at about 2:30, and he saw the horse, and he says, "Whose horse is that?" And then we said, "Oh, it's ours. You need to sell it. I don't. It's hard for me to support you. I cannot support a horse." So,
A horse, right?
So we end up selling the horse right away.
Now, Jalos, you grew up there. What has Jalos meant to you? I know it's very dear to you, and so many people
Well-
here in La Habra have came from Jalos. What has it meant to you?
Well, I always tell them that I don't know if it's beautiful or if it's ugly or not, but you know what? People that were born in there love Jalos, so it's all I know. And like what I tell a lot of people, I left Jalos over 60 years ago already, and I left Halos, but Halos is still in my heart. So
Yeah.
no matter how long, you still keep it. So.
So as a child, I mean, how would it feel? What would you do as a kid and during your schooling? Tell me about the childhood of Miguel González.
Well, I was almost like any kid. I love sports. In those days in our hometown, we play soccer. More baseball than soccer. Also, at the school, we play basketball. We play volleyball, and pretty much that was our. We used to go to school from 9 to 12 in the morning, and then take lunch off and come back at 3 to 5. And that was 5 days out of the week.
And a big family, the González family. How many brothers and sisters?
And my dad and my family is 13.
Okay.
13, and one of them came after we left Halos. And my mother stayed there for a while. So Oscar, my youngest brother, he was born in Guadalajara in 1970.
Oh, really? Okay, 1970.
Yeah, so he's 23 years spread between the older brother and the younger brother.
So you came to the United States in 1968.
1968.
And where did you guys establish yourselves at?
We came to Huntington Park.
Okay.
Then I lived there for about 2 years. And then I got married, moved into Campton for 4 years.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, I moved into La Mirada.
Uh-huh.
And I've been living in La Mirada for the last 36 years.
Wow. So what did you do when you first came to the United States? What was the job that you held? And
Well, it used to be a wire manufacturer.
uh-huh.
I was there for 12 years, and it was a good job. I mean, not the best pay, but give us a chance to work a lot of overtime so we can end up getting a big enough check that we can have a decent live.
So we fast forward to 1980, and you opened your first Northgate market. Where did the idea come up to open a market?
I already had a small shoe store in Norwalk.
Okay.
I opened it in 1975.
Okay.
And
So you were following your dad's footsteps.
yeah, I was kind of following my dad's footsteps with the shoe store. And my wife will take care of the store from 11 to 5. At 5, I will finish my work at the factory and come and stay at the shoe store for until 8:30.
Uh-huh.
And that's how we kept it. In 1979, my dad and I used to work at the same place in a factory in Garden Grove, the wire company. And we were talking what to do, and he said, you know, I wish we can have a business. And he told me, you already have one, but it's my last chance. So that's when I said, you know, let's try. Let's see what we can do. So we visit one of his friends that he was also from Halos. There was a real estate broker, Paulo Perez,
Uh-huh.
and ask him guidance what to do. And just same day he said, you know, by the way, I have a small grocery store in Anaheim
Uh-huh.
that has been in the market for over a year, and they desperate, they want to get rid of it, and you can make an offer and they will not refuse it. So we said, well, we never run a grocery store,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if we have the money. We were counting on the equity of the houses to do the investment. But anyway, we went and took a look at the store, and my dad and I like it, and I said, well, we like it, so what is the price? So the price was $75,000 for the business,
Uh-huh.
plus inventory. And so I sold my house, to get the equity, and then my dad refinanced his house, and we end up getting $70,000 to pay for the shoe store, grocery store.
And that was 1980. $70,000 was a lot more money back in 1980.
Yeah, well, for us, it was all my savings, my life savings, and my dad's too. And I ended up with no house for about a year, but trying to fulfill my dream. And
so back then, I mean, were you scared? I mean, how was your feeling that you were going to go into this new venture and you put up, I mean, so to speak, they say there's a term called you put the family farm out there. How did that feel?
Well, you know, I guess I was 30 years of age at that time, and I said, you know, if I don't do it, if I don't try, I'm going to feel sorry for the rest of my life. So I'd rather give it a try and put at risk really the house than just pass on it. So I had a lot of confidence that we can make it, because it was such a great need for the Mexican community of stores that can provide the items that they really like and the service that they will love to have.
So take me back to January 2nd, 1980, when you finally had the opening of that store. Tell me about how that went that day with you, your dad, your family. How did that go?
Well, we go to the store, we open it, and the previous owner were there to kind of help us go. And one of them asked me, hey, where is the money to put on the till so you can start selling? And I said, well, I don't have any. I only have a check for $240. That was all the money left after closing escrow. And so he cashed the check for me, and that's how we started it. No credit, no nothing. Everything was COD. So God helped us manage how to go there. We didn't know anything about a grocery store. Even the cash register, sometimes he will get stuck, and we had to restart it. And it was, but what we really knew was how to take care of the customer. And so they come back the following day and to shop with us.
So back then, who was working the store? Was it a family venture? Who all participated back then?
Since the first day, I mean, when we opened, most of the family was there helping. Some worked like part-time because they still had a school, 3 of them, but the rest we start. I stay at the work, my previous work, for about 6 months, so we don't have to take money out for my expenses. And after 6 months, I saw that it was a need for me to be in the store, so I thanked my bosses and said, you know, I'm going to go on this.
So tell me about what was the most challenging part about the early years for you?
Well, for me, it was the lack of money, because one of the great needs that had the community was where to cash the checks and not being gouged and not being ripped off. Because there was some places where just because you didn't have any ID, they will catch it for you, but they will charge you 5-6%. And so for us, we knew about that. So there was most of the Mexican community did not have any ID. It was hard for them. There was no matricula consular. There was no the INE, the one that you get by registered to vote in Mexico. So everything that we did was based on trust. And yes, we got some bad checks, dishonest people, but most of our community is honest. So that was, and the problem was that we didn't have enough money. So sometimes we will go to the bank, especially on Fridays, 4 or 5 times, cash some checks, take the checks, give it deposit at the bank. And the good thing was that in those days, you deposit a check and it was credited 100%.
Okay.
These days, you deposit a check and you're lucky if it's available in 2-3 days.
What for you is your fondest memories of those early years?
Well, it's I guess the main one is it has kept the family together for 40 years, and not only brothers and sisters. Now we have 37. That's the last count. 37 sons, daughters, nieces, nephews working in the business, and you know they. Like one of the professors at Pepperdine, they used to come and coach us and give us. He said, you know, I have two news, one bad and one good. Which one you want? And I said, well, anyone. So he says, the bad news is that your sons, daughters, nieces, nephews are smarter than you. I said, well, that's not a bad news. It's a good news. And he says, the good news is that you're not so bad. So, so that was his. So no, we have really good. They call themselves third generation, because my dad, us, and then them.
What I admire most is how united your family is. What's the secret to keeping your family united, even after all your success? Some people that are families, they get successful and they get divided, they get greedy and that kind of thing. But what has been the secret to keeping the González family
together?
together?
It was no question that is the family first in business.
Yeah.
We sacrifice sometimes in behalf of the family. I remember in the 1990s, a lawyer that has been for us almost like a guardian angel, he asked me, Miguel, I want you to tell me what is more important for you. So he drew two circles, family, business. And I said, definitely family. Okay, so that's when we made all the decision based on family first and then business.
You know what I admire most is you know, your two beautiful parents. What impact did your parents have on you, Don Miguel, and your family?
You know, we always said, you know, to my mom that she was the really the chain that keep us all together, and more than my dad. My dad showed us most of the value that we have in the company: humility, hard work, openness, and all that. But unity, it was really my mom that had that unity.
And your mom was very strong in her faith. I would see her regularly, if not every day, until she became ill at church.
Yes.
What impact has the family faith in God played in your role?
Well, we have three pillars for our business: faith, education, and well-being. And faith being the first. So for me, faith, life has like spokes on the wheel, and if one of them is not the same as the other one, then the wheel is not going to rotate properly. So I think that's why faith, well-being, education, economy, all those are those sparks that you need to take care of them so the wheel can roll properly.
Now, your mom lived significantly longer than your father. Your father, when did he pass away?
He was in 1999. He was only 76 years old.
Now, he got to see a good portion of the success of Northgate Market. But today, what do you think your dad would say of how successful you've been?
Well, I think he still be very humble like he used to be. Even in 1993, for a lawyer's recommendation, he said, you know, we need to freeze your debt estate. So any stores that are coming, he should not be in the as a partner. He should not be a partner because his estate is going to grow and it's more money that you're going to have to really give in estate tax to Uncle Sam. And so it was not easy to talk to him and tell him, you're not going to go with us anymore. You're the owner of, it was 8 stores, but from now on, you're not going to appear as a shareholder, but you're going to be. And he said, so you're going to get rid of me? I said, no, it's just tactics so we can avoid paying estate tax so much. And he understood after a little while, and things went really well. And when he used to talk about the store, he will say ours. When he died, we had 25 stores, and but he was pretty much the same. I remember they had an interview for him in our hometown. The same year that he died, in April, he died in August, and they asked us, well, how you feel now that you have so many stores? I feel the same. I feel the same that when we had one. So he was always very focused on.
What keeps the Gonzalez family, especially you, so humble? Sometimes people with their success lose touch.
Well, one of them, it was the example of our parents. And not even our parents, I think our grandparents, they were the same way. And when you have faith, you know that you're only a human being, and not being rich or poor doesn't, for God, he's the same person. So from that perspective, we all feel that, it's really, we need to thank God for all those blessings with what we have right now, and this great country that allowed us to fulfill our dream.
Looking back, did you ever imagine from day one that you would be as successful as you are today?
Oh, no. I just never thought that we can get to 40 store. I know that when we opened the first store and I kept working in the factory, there was one Anglo person, he was the salesman, and he was joking with me and said, Miguel, in 40 years, you're going to be almost like an Albertson. You're going to have a store everywhere. And I said, hey, one is big enough. But then when we opened the first store, there was a person making or writing a book for people from Halos that kind of went a little more than just the working in a factory. And I said, my dream now is to have a store for each of the brothers and sisters.
Which was 12? Was it 12?
13 with
13,
me.
okay.
Yeah, 12 with me. And I know my brothers kind of joke around and he say, hey, we still did not pay all of this and you already dreaming about 13 stores? I said, well, that's how things happen. You dream and you keep dreaming and one day become reality.
So did you ever imagine, you think if God showed you that down the road you'd have over 40 stores, do you think it would scare you?
I might say, I might not believe him. I said, no, it's too much. I never really thought, and especially because at the beginning, we were really careful to open up a store because my dad's recommendation every time that I say, it's an opportunity to buy a new store, he says, just make sure that you don't put in risk what we already have.
Yeah.
And that's okay, go ahead.
So you in the early years, you started in 1980, and then 1986 was number 2 open.
Yes.
Almost 6 years later, you came to La Habra.
Yes.
So how did that idea come to La Habra, former Alpha Beta store, then Subtle store? Where did you get that courage to go on to do number 2?
Well, it was really a great need for us. to expand, and it was. I really liked the site. Uh, in those days, for us, looked huge, La Habra store,
Uh-huh.
and I said, but we can handle it. And then being so close to Our Lady of Guadalupe and see the masses in Spanish always full. In those days, our main focus was core customer, core, and so we said, it's a really good site.
Yeah.
We had a lot of difficulties with the landlord.
Uh-huh.
When we tried to buy the store from Mr. Saddle,
Uh-huh.
and we had a deal done and all that, but then the landlord did not accept us on the lease. So there was no deal because we cannot assume the deal that Saddle had. Then he went bankrupt, and through the bankruptcy, we were able, or they forced Mr. Mommy, our landlord, to give us 36 months of lease that was still not finished with Mr. Saddle. So I said, in 36 months, we can prove that we can handle this store. And thank God. And the La Habra people, we did it.
So going in there to the first store, you still had some of the Settles people working with you and kind of guiding you. You still were not, you were already established in the business, but you still needed some help.
Oh yes, a lot of help. We kept about, he did not have that many left because we kept 2 checkers and a janitor, a meat guy, and one in the grocery. But the meat guy kind of got upset with us when we took out the coffin cases that he had, the open cases with wrapped meat, and put the meat cases with fresh meat. He
With
says,
fresh meat where you could serve the customer
yeah, he
and take
says,
it out. Yeah.
people in La Habra are not used to this. They love the packaged meat,
Yeah.
and then when they saw on that grand opening on Sunday how much we sold in meat, he says, I never sold that much, and it was because we had the case where it was the fresh meat, similar to what they do in the meat markets in Mexico.
So how was that when La Habra really started to take off? I mean, excuse me, there was a lot of momentum.
Yes.
Tell me about the early years in La Habra.
Well, it took us about at least a year to get the store where we wanted it. It was limited resources also to do remodels in the store, and but finally we got it, and it was we start to get people not only from not only from La Habra, but also there was a large community of Hispanics in Brea, and they all came into La Habra. The Fullerton, South Fullerton, North Fullerton, and also Whittier. We had people, and so we started attracting more and more, and the store kept growing and growing every year.
So what was your fondest memory of the La Habra days?
I was,
You spent a lot of time there.
yes, I had very, very many, but I remember one that kind of, I like to refer that one to some of the store directors. I said, it was a Saturday afternoon. I was there, and I hear a person talking really loud and unhappy. I saw this customer that he was drunk, and so he wanted to keep buying beer, and we said, we cannot sell you any beer, and he was upset for that. And I said, well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. We're gonna sell you the beer only if you allow us to take you in the shuttle bus that we have. You give me the car keys, I make sure that it's locked, you go home and send somebody to pick up the car. and he looked at me and said, no, 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 I don't agree to that.
Uh-huh.
If you want me to do that, you're gonna have to take me home.
Uh-huh.
And I said, my pleasure. So we put him in my car, take him with a beer, and his wife was so upset, man. He got in trouble with his wife. And the good thing, the police was already looking for him because somebody called them that he was a drunk person. So the car stayed at the La Habra store parking lot for 2 days.
Oh, really?
And he came very ashamed and said, you know, I promised my wife and I promised you that I'm not going to drink for at least a year. And I said, no, it's just that we cannot sell you any beer if you're already intoxicated. And he went and apologized to the checker that but it was kind of funny to see how people in the community react different ways.
So after La Habra, you end up opening another store in Anaheim, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And really, it seemed like after La Habra, things really started to take off.
Yes. Yes. I really went into corporate and started really, at that time, my youngest brother, Oscar, had come back from Pepperdine.
Uh-huh.
He got his MBA in business administration, and we set up the company to grow. And so we hire a head of real estate, a head of IT, a head of warehousing, and a center store person that had a lot more experience than us.
Uh-huh.
And for the first time, we hired a CFO.
Okay.
So we had the team ready, and then we had the opportunity to buy 6 stores from a small company in San Diego. And then in those days, Albertsons was closing down the Hispanic version that they had that never worked for them. And we got 4 stores from them. So in less than 3 years, we went from 24 stores to 34 stores. And that's how I think we ready to keep growing. We kind of took 4 years where we didn't open any new stores. We just start remodeling all the stores under the new concept that we have. That's what we have in La Habra. We call it Mercado concept, where is our strategy was that how can we take care of not only our Hispanic people, but really go beyond and second, third generation, and anybody that really love Mexican food.
Yeah.
We want to stay true to the Mexican food, authentic, but how can we help them? So we designed the store better. We did an effort to hire more bilingual. The people that work in the store that had issues with English, we have classes at corporate for them, the ones that want to go. And so we now creating a store that is more open to receive anybody and make sure that nobody feels that they don't belong there.
Well, you know, you come into this new store here in La Habra, and it's like the melting pot. You see Anglo people, you see Mexican people, you see Asian people, you see people of all different nationalities. How does that make you feel that people from every walks of life are coming to your stores?
Well, that was our goal, to be a store for everyone without really losing our niche, our specialty that is Mexican food. So is where I think now Mexican food is almost like Italian pizza. It's no longer Italian, it's more American.
Right?
More pizzas are sold in the US than Italy. And the same thing with the burritos. There are more burritos sold in the US than in Mexico.
So what's amazing to me is you start off these humble beginnings, and you just grew in leaps and bounds, from Anaheim, and it's really gone all the way to catch the attention in Washington, D.C., where the president's even aware of Northgate Market. How did it feel for you to have the First Lady of the United States come to one of your stores and really showcase all that you're doing?
Well, it was such a great honor. I mean, I never, if it's something that it will be hard to think that we can accomplish that, it was unbelievable. When we were told that First Lady wanted to come to one of our stores, I said, how can that be? And the day came and she came to our stores and loved what we were doing with the fresh concept, what we're doing like with a healthy product. We are the only company that has about 2,500 items that are healthy and has different color on the tag and is bilingual. So we think there is a great need for our community to really get more, they learn more about healthy products. And so if we can help, we're going to be there to help.
So does Don Miguel have a favorite product at Northgate? What's your favorite item you sell at Northgate?
To me, it's still carnitas.
Uh-huh.
I was at the store that we opened in Riverside, and my dad wanted to open a store 23 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And the guy said, hey, these are the best carnitas. And I said, no, nothing to compare to the one my dad used to make.
Uh-huh.
And he said, how he used to do it. So I talked to him how he used to do it. And his carnitas, they were really good. But I said, my dad had really give a lot of time for those carnitas to cook.
Uh-huh.
It was at least close to 2 hours, I said. And sometimes it was because we use really it used to be a garage for an apartment, and we convert that into a kitchen.
Uh-huh.
But since it was very expensive to bring the gas line into there, we just took the one that they were there, and it was only a ½ inch. So no matter how he wanted to get that temperature to grow, it was still the same.
Uh-huh.
And so that gave the right time for the carnitas to cook and all that.
So despite the fact that you've been in business for 40 years, you still remain very active in the day-to-day operations. Maybe you're in the stores, you're at the corporate office, you're everywhere. Where does Don Miguel get the energy to do all this?
Well, I think I love what we do, especially my wife tells me, hey, why you have to go on Sundays? Take Sundays off. And I say, it's the best day of the week for me, because I go to the stores. If I come to La Habra, it's like coming to my own home, because I know so many people and we share memories, we talk, and also I got a chance to talk to the associates. And the same thing, I go to San Diego and people kind of tell me, hey, you haven't been here in a month, what happened?
Uh-huh.
They really like us to be there. And yes, we want to go and feel how our associates are treated, if there's any issues, and look at the store and see we can advise and make a better store director.
What is the secret to your success?
Hard work. It's no question that hard work pays off. And yes, Guy, I say, there's things that had been appearing in our business that really is not because we were so smart. It was just guidance.
Uh-huh.
It's like when we hired the lawyer, he is being such a big part in keeping the family together, in keeping us out of trouble, really helping us grow our business. He's more of a coach than a lawyer, and he attends all the family meetings. He's very spiritual, and he has the title lawyer, but he's more of a God people, the God person than anything else.
Looking back, would you do anything different?
No, no, why do it? This is paid off, and especially like I said, we always put family ahead of everything. And when I see, like yesterday, we have the uh, meetings for the third generation, and man, they are smart. They already talking things that I never imagined, and with their own prospect, and so we're gonna have a company for many years.
You know, one thing that has really impressed me is here at the La Habra store, you have a manager, Josh, and he's one of the next generations that has come up through the company, is that he holds very close to your core values of your family and remains very humble at this store. How does it make you feel that the next generation seems to be holding very tight to those core values and the things that your grandparents taught you?
Well, no, that's the first thing. We have our values everywhere, and they know them. They see how they need to remain living those values, and Joshua is really a good representative of those values. We have, or they have, a council for third generation, and they rotate every year, and Joshua was the one that started it, and he was the first one, the president, and he's a servant leadership approach. He really works with them and help them, and there's some that are a lot older than him, but he's very wise. He lives the values, and he prepares himself. I mean, he worked full time and still attend College State Fullerton, and he wants to keep growing. He wants to go and take a MBA soon. He says, I'm going to take a time off to really do it. He said, right now I have La Habra store that I want to grow sales and do better. But yeah, no, he's excellent.
When people ask you, Don Miguel, what does Northgate Market mean to you? What do you tell them?
Well, for me, it's my life. I mean, it's been working for 40 years already. The family also there. So what else can I ask for? I have we have the family, we have a business, and then we have our community that really is part of the business and the associates.
What has La Habra meant to you all these years?
Well, for me, I said, it's my hometown because I live so many hours, so many years. I interact so much with people in La Habra. I said, I never felt that I was out of place in La Habra or unsafe. I said, I used to go and collect shopping carts and places where they tell me that it was dangerous, and the people used to help me collect those shopping carts and put them in my truck at 8 or 9 at night. So I never really felt that I was in the wrong place, and I love La Habra.
What do you think of the customers of La Habra, or your customers in general?
Oh, they the best. They the best. They kept coming back to us and really help us grow. And a lot to say with the city officials. They really been a great help. They are business oriented. They really help the businesses. They also take care of the citizens of La Habra, no matter if they are green, white, or blue, or whatever. They take care of them.
Don Miguel, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, I guess if I can help to get people to fulfill their dreams, that it can be possible. That's how I want to be remembered. A person that can inspire some kids or all people that, you know, it's always time to do what you dream, and don't be afraid, because that's what is really uh, when people have fear, the dreams goes away, and you're never gonna end up fulfilling those dreams.
Do you have a motto in life?
Well, my dad is my model.
Uh-huh.
He was a hard worker, very humble. I mean, for many years, he was the cooker at the store. In his store, we call it his store, Store One. He will cook breakfast and lunch for everybody that work in the store.
Okay, I'd like you to fill in the blank. Don Miguel González is.
Is a person, an immigrant that came with a high hopes to fulfill his dream in this great country, and thank God in this great country I fulfilled my dream.